I remember the way the sunlight fell on Ethan's face, making him look untouchable, as if the world owed him everything. "You really think you can start your own company?" he asked, leaning back on the sofa with that infuriating smirk. "Ivy, child, let's be realistic. Dreams don't pay bills." I swallowed, feeling the sting behind his words. "I know it won't be easy, Ethan," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "But I'm willing to work for it." He laughed, low and dismissive. "Willing to work? That's cute. You've always been cute with your big ideas. But this is impractical." I clenched my fists under the table. "I've saved money. I've researched the market. I'm ready." He tilted his head, eyes scanning me like I was a puzzle he had no interest in solving. "Ready? You've got passion, sure. But passion doesn't make you successful. You're naive, Ivy. And that's what makes you unlovable, I guess." I flinched, though I tried to hide it. "Lovable doesn't matter if it never gets me anywhere," I whispered, more to myself than to him. Sophia, sitting beside me, reached over and squeezed my hand. "Don't listen to him," she whispered. "You're serious. I see it." "I know you do," I murmured, grateful for her presence. Her belief felt like the only solid thing in the room. Ethan leaned forward suddenly, voice dropping into a tone that demanded attention. "Look, I'm not trying to crush your spirit. But life isn't a fairy tale. You're thinking with your heart, and that's dangerous. Dreams don't matter when status and influence do." "I can do both," I said firmly, my pulse quickening. "I can chase my dreams and still be responsible." He laughed again, but this time it wasn't playful. "Ivy, you've always been stubborn. That's why I like you. But don't hurt yourself thinking you can outrun reality." I bit my lip, refusing to respond. I wanted to argue, to shout, to make him see, but something in his eyes held me back. That arrogant certainty, the way he believed the world should bend to him, it made my chest ache with frustration. Sophia's voice broke the tension. "You're stronger than you think," she said softly. I nodded. "I have to be." Ethan stood abruptly, walking toward the window. "Anyway," he said, turning with a sly grin, "I have some news coming soon. Something big. You might want to pay attention." My heart skipped. "News?" I asked, trying to sound casual. He smirked. "Let's just say things are changing." "Changing how?" I pressed, leaning forward. He shrugged, giving nothing away. "You'll see soon enough. Don't get your hopes up too high, Ivy." The word stung, and yet a strange flutter of anticipation mixed with unease rose in my chest. I glanced at Sophia, who looked at me with worried eyes. "Be careful," she whispered. "I will," I replied, though my mind raced with possibilities. Ethan walked away, leaving the room heavy with unspoken tension. I sat back, staring at the floor, feeling the weight of my dreams against the reality he had just reminded me of. "I can't let him define me," I murmured, more to myself than anyone else. Sophia squeezed my hand again. "You won't," she said. "I know you won't." And in that moment, despite his smirks, his condescension, and his warnings, a small, stubborn spark lit inside me. I would chase my dreams. I would prove him wrong. But even as I resolved that, a quiet voice of doubt whispered, what if chasing them meant losing everything else, including him? I shook my head, trying to push it away. For now, I had to focus. Dreams first. Survival second. The envelope was heavy in my hands. I stared at it, white with Ethan Walker's name embossed in gold. My stomach tightened as I slid out the card. "Ethan Walker and Lena Whitmore request the pleasure of your company at their wedding." My hands trembled. I sank into the chair, Sophia's voice barely audible behind me. "You okay?" she asked softly. I shook my head. "No," I whispered. "I can't believe this." She sat beside me. "Ivy, you knew something was coming." I looked at her, tears threatening to fall. I thought I might still matter. That he'd at least tell me first. Sophia took my hand. "He doesn't get to decide your worth. Not anymore." The next day, I confronted him. Ethan was leaning casually against the doorway, that smug smile I hated plastered on his face. "So, you got it?" he asked. I held up the invitation. This is your wedding?" He shrugged, as if I'd asked about the weather. "Yes." "Her name is Lena Whitmore," I said, voice shaking. Why her?" He laughed softly, dismissive. "Why not? She's practical. She understands life." I felt my chest tighten. Practical? Wasn't I enough? Ethan's expression hardened. "Ivy, love doesn't pay bills. You never understood that." I could barely speak. You've married her while He waved a hand, cutting me off. "Don't be dramatic. We had different paths." I swallowed hard, trying to hold back tears. "So, all those years meant nothing?" He smirked. "Nothing personal. Just life." Lena appeared then, smiling politely. "Ivy, it's nice to finally meet you," she said, but there was an edge to her tone I couldn't ignore. I forced a polite smile. "Congratulations," I murmured. She nodded, eyes flicking to Ethan. "He's lucky to have such support," she said, a hint of mockery in her voice. Ethan's mother, Mrs. Walker, swept in with her usual elegance. "Isn't this exciting?" she said, looking at me. "Lena is perfect for him. I only wish the best for both of them." I nodded, feeling the weight of isolation pressing down. "Of course," I whispered. Sophia's hand on my arm was warm. "Ivy, breathe. You're stronger than this." "I feel broken," I admitted, my voice trembling. "Every dream, every hope gone." She squeezed my hand. "It's not gone. You'll rebuild." I wanted to believe her, but standing there, listening to their laughter and the polite chatter around me, it felt impossible. My heart felt like it had been hollowed out. Finally, I left. The rain hit me the moment I stepped outside. Cold, sharp, relentless. I clutched the invitation, letting it soak through my fingers. Every drop of water felt like a memory washing away. The life I thought I had with Ethan, the trust, the love, the belief that I mattered. I whispered to myself, how do you move on from someone who made you feel invisible while you loved them completely? Sophia's words lingered in my mind. You're stronger than this. I took a shaky breath and kept walking, though the storm outside mirrored the storm inside me. The first real collapse of my world had begun, and I had no idea how to put the pieces back together. I woke to the harsh fluorescent light of the hospital room, my body aching like I had been carried through fire. The beeping machines were the only sound, echoing the emptiness in my chest. Sophia sat beside me, her face pale, hand clutched over mine. Ivy, you need to eat something, she said softly, but I shook my head. I can't, I whispered. Everything tastes like ashes. She sighed. It's been days. You can't keep punishing yourself. I tried to speak, but my throat burned. He doesn't care, Sophia. Not one bit. Ethan? She asked, eyes sad. No one comes, Ivy. Not him. My lips trembled. All those years. I gave him everything. And he just moved on. Laughed. Married her. Didn't even look back. Sophia pressed her forehead to mine. I know, Ivy. I know. A doctor appeared then, clipboard in hand. How are we feeling today? He asked cheerfully, though his eyes betrayed concern. Dead inside, I muttered, letting my tears fall freely. He frowned. We need to monitor your heart. Emotional stress is affecting your health. I don't care, I whispered, looking away. What's the point of health if life itself feels like a lie? Sophia gripped my hand tighter. Stop. You can't give up now. I shook my head. I don't think I have a choice. Every insult, every look, every laugh at my expense, that's all burned into me. I can't move past it. The doctor frowned again. We'll try to help, but you have to cooperate. I let out a bitter laugh. Cooperate? With what? Living? Surviving? While he thrives and my voice broke, tears spilling down. You're not alone, Sophia said firmly. I'm here. And I cut her off, shaking my head. I should have chosen myself. I should have walked away, before he crushed me. I should have seen the truth. I should have. Her grip tightened. Ivy, don't say that. But I couldn't stop. I pictured him laughing, that cruel, dismissive look, Lena smiling beside him, Mrs. Walker nodding in approval. Every image stabbed my chest. I felt my strength draining, my body heavier with each heartbeat. I tried to love him the right way. I whispered. I gave everything, and it wasn't enough. Sophia's tears fell quietly. Ivy. I smiled weakly at her. It's not your fault, Sophia. It's mine. Io loved him too much. The beeping slowed in my ears, my eyes closing against the weight of sorrow. A whisper escaped my lips, barely audible. If I ever get another chance, I will never give him my heart again. Sophia leaned closer, her voice shaking. Stay with me, please. But I was already drifting, a hollow shell of myself, full of regret, full of pain, full of love that had destroyed me. And in that quiet, empty room, I died, loving him, trusting him, believing in us. And yet, even in that final moment, a small part of me vowed silently, if life ever gave me a second chance, I would never be that naive again. I woke with a gasp, my sheets tangled around me, heart pounding like it had been running a marathon. For a moment, everything was blurry. The room, the sunlight streaming through the curtains, the familiar scent of coffee from the kitchen. And then it hit me. I wasn't in the hospital. I wasn't broken. I was here, years earlier. My chest tightened with a mixture of panic and disbelief. No, this can't be real, I whispered to myself, touching my face, feeling the warmth of my own skin. The door creaked, and in walked Ethan, smiling that same smug, careless smile I knew too well. Morning, Ivy, he said, leaning lazily against the frame. Did you sleep well? I froze, studying him. Every detail, his tie crooked, the light catching the gold fleck in his eyes. I knew it all. Ethan, my voice trembled. Am I dreaming? He chuckled, shaking his head. You're acting weird. What's with this sudden theatrics? I swallowed hard, trying to steady myself. Nothing. I just slept badly. His eyes narrowed slightly, amused. Right. Well, breakfast is ready. You coming down, or are you going to keep staring at the wall all morning? I took a shaky step forward, my mind racing. This is my chance. Everything that went wrong, I can change it. Yes, I'll come, I said softly, forcing myself to sound casual. As I followed him down the stairs, I observed every movement, every word, every expression. I noticed things I'd missed the first time, the arrogance in his posture, the dismissive tone when he spoke about my ambitions, the way he never asked me what I really wanted. In the kitchen, he poured himself coffee and smirked. You look tense. Big day ahead. I paused, considering my reply. No, just thinking. He raised an eyebrow. Thinking too much will give you wrinkles. I forced a laugh, but inwardly I bristled. I won't let him belittle me again. I won't let my heart blind me this time. Sophia's voice came from the other room. Ivy, are you okay? I rushed over, clinging to the comfort of her presence. Sophia, something's different, I said, glancing at Ethan. I don't know how to explain it. She frowned. Different how? I shook my head. I remember everything. Every mistake, every heartbreak, every word he used to cut me down. And I can't let it happen again. Sophia's eyes widened. You mean I like a second chance? I nodded, my jaw firming. Yes. I have to be careful this time. I have to observe, learn, and prepare. I can't be naive anymore. Ethan sipped his coffee, oblivious. Are you talking to yourself? Weird. I forced a smile. Nothing. Just thinking out loud. As he walked out the door, tossing his keys on the counter, I felt a flicker of determination. No more blind trust. No more giving everything without expecting anything in return. This time, I will watch, I will plan, I will protect myself. Sophia leaned in. Ivy, whatever you're planning, be careful. But I think you've already changed. I can see it in you. I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of what I had been given, the chance to rewrite everything. I won't waste it, I whispered. I will never let myself be crushed again. Not by him. Not by anyone. And with that, I began watching the world and Ethan differently. Every word, every gesture was a clue. Every mistake from the past was a lesson. This time I was ready. I opened the door to Ethan's apartment, my chest tight but my voice calm. Ethan, we need to talk. He looked up from his phone, smirk playing on his lips. Oh, you look serious. What's wrong? I swallowed the familiar lump in my throat and shook my head. Nothing is wrong. Actually, everything is exactly as it should be. But I'm done begging. His eyes flicked to mine, confusion mixing with amusement. Begging? Ivy, what are you talking about? You know exactly what I'm talking about, I said firmly. All those years I gave you everything. My heart, my time, my trust. And you? You mocked me, laughed at my dreams, married someone else without even a second thought. I won't let you diminish me again. Ethan leaned back, still smiling. Wow. Dramatic as ever. So what? You're leaving? I nodded. Yes. And this time, I'm walking away first. No tears, no excuses, no pleading. I'm done letting you control my life. His smirk faltered slightly, replaced with something I hadn't seen before, uncertainty. You really think you can just walk away? I know I can, I said, standing taller than I ever had. Because this time, I'm choosing myself. Not you. Not your approval. Me. Sophia appeared in the hallway, her eyes bright, her hand finding mine. Ivy, I can see it. The change in you, she whispered. It's amazing. I squeezed her hand, a small smile breaking through my calm exterior. It's about time I stopped being naive. I have work to do, dreams to chase, a life to rebuild. Ethan laughed then, a low, almost mocking sound. You think leaving me will make you stronger? You'll come back, Ivy. You always do. I shook my head, letting the truth of my rebirth echo in every step I took toward the door. Not this time, I said simply, voice steady. Not ever. He frowned, a flicker of panic flashing across his features. You're making a mistake. You'll regret this. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. My resolve was solid. I turned and left, Sophia by my side, the apartment behind me, the past version of myself fading with every step. Outside, the sunlight hit me differently, warm and promising. I could feel the power shift already, a subtle but undeniable momentum swinging in my favor. For the first time, I felt free. Free from his shadow, free from his ridicule, free from the mistakes I had once made. Sophia caught my gaze. So, what's first? I pulled out my tablet, opening the business proposal I had once failed to submit. This, I said, determination blazing in my eyes. I'm taking back what I should have had years ago. My career, my dreams, my life. She smiled, proud and supportive. Ivy, you're unstoppable. I glanced back once, knowing Ethan was still laughing somewhere behind me, convinced I would return. Let him think I was weak. I had the advantage now, and this time, I wasn't making the same mistakes. I hit send on the proposal. My heart raced, not with fear, but with anticipation. Success was mine to claim, and nothing, not Ethan, not anyone, would stand in my way again. The first step toward rebuilding myself was taken, and it felt electric, liberating, and entirely mine. I stepped into the sleek office, nerves buzzing, but excitement thrumming beneath. Oliver Grant extended a hand, his gaze sharp and assessing. Ivy Carter? Yes, I said, shaking his hand firmly. Thank you for seeing me. He smirked slightly. I don't see talent often. Let's see if you're more than talk. I swallowed, heart racing. I'm ready to learn. I won't waste your time. Over the next few hours, Oliver grilled me, challenging every assumption I had about business, strategy, and negotiation. Your proposal is ambitious, he said, pacing. But it's flawed here. Your marketing projection is unrealistic. I frowned, consulting my notes. I thought if we target social media influencers, the adoption rate would be faster. Too optimistic. You're counting on trends, not behavior, he countered. I nodded slowly. So, I focus on steady growth metrics instead? He stopped, regarding me with a new respect.
Exactly.
You're learning. Most people fail because they think passion replaces precision. I smiled, feeling a warmth in my chest. I won't fail this time. Later, Mark Reynolds arrived, slick in his tailored suit. I hear you've got an interesting project, he said, shaking my hand. Oliver tells me you're ambitious. I am, I replied confidently. And I have a clear strategy to make it succeed. Mark raised an eyebrow, intrigued. Ambition is good. Execution is better. Convince me. For the first time in years, I didn't hesitate. I walked him through every detail, every step, every potential challenge, and how I intended to overcome them. The sparkle in his eyes told me I had his attention. Meanwhile, news of my project began circulating quietly. I heard whispers, rumors reaching Ethan's ears. He laughed in the cafe, where I unexpectedly ran into him. So, Ivy Carter is making waves? I heard about your little venture. How cute. I held my gaze steady, noticing the uncertainty beneath his laughter. It's not little, Ethan. And it's working. He chuckled nervously. Well, good for you, I guess. Guess. I repeated, tone calm but firm. Success doesn't need your approval anymore. His smile faltered. We'll see about that. I walked away from him, heart steady, mind clear. The thrill wasn't about proving him wrong. It was about reclaiming control over my life. Every step I took toward my office, every strategy one perfected, every handshake that sealed a deal reminded me of the power I now held. At a mentoring session later, Oliver leaned back, watching me adjust projections on the board. You're growing faster than I expected, he said. Most would crumble under past failures. You thrive. I smiled, a quiet, fierce joy swelling inside me. I've learned from the worst. I won't let it happen again. He nodded. Good. Keep pushing. The right people will notice, and when they do... I didn't need him to finish. I already felt the shift, subtle but undeniable. The world had tilted, and for the first time, I wasn't standing on the edge, waiting to fall. I was in control. Outside, the city pulsed with opportunity, and I felt the tide of karma brushing against me, quiet but persistent. Ethan's world, built on arrogance and neglect, had no idea how quickly the scales were turning. And I, Ivy Carter, was ready to rise, steady, confident, unshakable. The girl who once begged, cried, and faltered was gone. The woman who could command her life had begun to emerge. The ballroom shimmered with lights and laughter, but I felt nothing but calm. I wasn't here as a guest of love or memory. I was here as Ivy Carter, businesswoman. My heels clicked against the marble floor as I walked in, Sophia at my side. Breathe, Sophia whispered, her hand brushing mine. You're doing fine. I nodded, scanning the crowd. And then I saw him, Ethan, in a tux that fit him perfectly, standing beside Lena. The air between them seemed fragile, polished, rehearsed. Look at her, Sophia murmured, nodding subtly. Lena thinks she owns him. I smiled faintly. I didn't need him. I never would. Ethan caught my eye from across the room. His smile was polite at first, but then his gaze lingered, sharper this time, as if he suddenly remembered who I really was. Why are you staring? Lena whispered, her voice sweet but edged with something cold. I don't know, she admitted softly. It's like he's not really here with me. He's looking at her. I didn't look away. I allowed him to notice me, to feel the shift. I could see the regret flicker across his face, quick, almost imperceptible. Do you remember when I used to wait for him to call? I whispered to Sophia, voice low, more for myself than her. And he never did? She nodded. And now? You don't even blink at him. I let a quiet smile curve my lips.
No.
I'm free. The ceremony began. Vows were exchanged, smiles offered. But my attention was elsewhere. I caught Ethan's subtle movements, his discomfort as he noticed guests whispering about my presence, his hesitation when Lena leaned slightly toward him. You feel it too, don't you? Sophia whispered. The tension? It's all because you're not broken anymore. Yes, I said softly. I can see everything. The jealousy, the regret, it doesn't touch me. Not this time. Later, during the reception, I found myself seated at a table near the window, champagne untouched. Ethan approached, as though compelled. Ivy, he said, voice low, trying for casual. Ethan. I replied, calm, neutral. Congratulations. He shifted, uncomfortable. I didn't expect you to be here. I came for business, I said smoothly. And to observe. Everything else is irrelevant. He laughed nervously. You've changed. You're different. I let the words hang in the air. I've learned from mistakes, I said simply. I won't be controlled by anyone again. He looked away, swallowed hard, and then nodded. Good for you. I turned back to the skyline outside, letting the city lights wash over me. I realized, fully, that the weight of love, betrayal, and expectation had lifted. Ethan's life, Lena's smug satisfaction, they mattered less than my own calm, my own assent. Sophia squeezed my hand. You did it, she whispered. You're free. Yes, I said, a quiet laugh escaping me. And it feels incredible. No longing, no heartache, no desperate hope. Only me, strong, composed, and finally untouchable by the past. The conference room was tense, the kind of silence that demanded attention. I sat at the head of the table, documents neatly stacked before me, and waited. Ethan entered last, his suit perfect, but his usual arrogance replaced by unease. Ivy, he began, voice tight. I raised an eyebrow, letting the pause stretch. Yes, Ethan. You've heard the news, I assume? He hesitated. I know your firm has acquired a stake. But this isn't. It's final, I interrupted, voice calm, controlled. Your company is under partial control of my firm. Effective immediately. He swallowed hard, jaw tightening. You can't just. I cut him off. I can. And I did. Let's focus on solutions rather than protests. The board members shifted, eyes flicking between us. Ethan's pride battled reality. I don't need lessons from you, he snapped. I smiled faintly, cold but unshaken. No lessons, Ethan. Guidance, if you're willing to listen. Or consequences, if you continue resisting. He clenched his fists, trying to reclaim authority. I built this company. I know what's best. Perhaps, I said smoothly. But you ignored strategy, underestimated risks, and dismissed people who could help. That's why we're here. That's why the power dynamic has shifted. Mark Reynolds, our investor, leaned in. Ivy's right, Ethan. We need collaboration, not conflict. Ethan's eyes flicked to me, and for a moment, I saw the man who once mocked my dreams, the arrogance replaced by recognition, subtle fear even. I can handle this, he muttered, pride fraying at the edges. I tapped a pen on the table. Handle it under my supervision or I step in directly. Your choice. He inhaled sharply, shoulders stiff. Fine. I'll cooperate. Excellent, I said. My voice was professional, even. No emotion betrayed the satisfaction that bubbled beneath the surface. Let's review the quarterly projections and identify areas for immediate improvement. Throughout the meeting, I guided him with precision. Every suggestion, every question, every correction reminded him that the balance of power had irrevocably shifted. I remained composed, detached, but the thrill of karma unfolded quietly within me. Sophia, sitting beside me, whispered, barely audible. Ivy, look at him. He's actually listening. I nodded slightly, maintaining my calm. He underestimated me for years. Now he'll learn. Slowly, painfully, professionally. Ethan offered input occasionally, but I noted the hesitation in his tone, the careful calculations behind his words. No laughter. No dismissal. Just recognition of authority he once refused to acknowledge. By the end of the session, agreements were signed, strategies approved, and responsibilities clearly delineated. Ethan's eyes met mine for a fraction of a second, shadowed with the understanding of his past arrogance. "Not bad, Ivy," he muttered quietly as we exited the boardroom. "Not bad," I repeated, calm but firm. "I'd call it overdue." Outside, the city's skyline glimmered, lights reflecting possibilities I had once only dreamed of. I had taken control, rebuilt what I lost, and now the man who once dictated my heartbreak was answering to me. Sophia squeezed my hand, whispering, "This is perfect. You're unstoppable." I allowed myself a brief smile.
"No, Sophia.
This isn't perfection. This is justice, quiet and measured. And it feels delicious." Ethan walked behind me, silent, aware of every step I took. The girl who had begged, cried, and faltered was gone. In her place stood a woman in command, confident, unshakable, and finally free. I didn't expect him to call. Not after everything. Yet here he was, standing outside my office door, hands stuffed into his pockets, a mix of pride and something that looked like fear in his eyes. "Ivy, can we talk?" he asked, voice hesitant. I leaned back in my chair, eyes on the skyline. "We can. But know this, Ethan. I'm not the same girl you used to dismiss."
He swallowed hard, nodding.
"I know.
I
underestimated you. I didn't see." "See what?" I interrupted, calm. "That I would rise? That I wouldn't beg or collapse?" He flinched slightly at the words, but continued. "I didn't realize how capable you are, how strong. You've changed everything." I let the silence stretch, watching him fidget, realizing he couldn't meet my gaze fully. "And yet," I said softly, "you never apologized. Not fully. Not for all the years you laughed at me, ignored me, left me." My voice trailed, measured, steady. He hesitated, pride warring with regret. I wish I could. But some things can't be fixed." I nodded slowly. "No, they can't. And I won't let your words fix them either. I've already fixed myself." He took a step closer, lowering his voice. "Ivy, please. I'm scared. Losing control, losing everything, it's hard. I didn't know how much I needed you or how wrong I was." "I see that," I replied, expression neutral. "But recognition isn't restitution, Ethan. And it won't undo the past." He exhaled sharply, frustration creeping into his posture. "So, you won't forgive me?" I shook my head lightly. "Forgiveness isn't mine to give.
Closure isn't about you. It's about me.
And I've found mine already." He hesitated, jaw tightening, eyes searching mine as if begging silently. "I never thought you'd be this strong." "I was always capable," I said firmly. "I just chose the wrong person to believe in. Once I chose myself, everything changed." He ran a hand over his face, defeated, realizing the shift that had long since taken place. I wish I could turn back time." I didn't flinch. "We all have regrets, Ethan. Yours are yours. Mine? I learned from them, and I'm moving forward. Without you." He nodded slowly, the fight leaving him. I understand." "Good," I said, standing calm, composed.
"Now leave."
"Your presence doesn't matter here anymore. Not to me." He lingered for a moment, then quietly walked out, the office door clicking softly behind him. I exhaled, shoulders easing, a sense of finality settling in. No apology, no reconciliation, no longing. Just the quiet moral victory of knowing I had won where it mattered most, over my past, my pain, and the man who once controlled me. Sophia peeked in, smiling. "You okay?" I returned the smile, steady and proud. "Better than okay. I'm free." And for the first time, I truly believed it. The office buzzed with activity, yet I felt calm and control. Reports lay neatly across the table, projections exceeding expectations. Mark Reynolds leaned forward, enthusiasm in his eyes. Ivy, these numbers are exceptional, he said, glancing at the quarterly report. Your strategy is flawless. Investors are thrilled. I nodded, a small, satisfied smile playing on my lips.
Thank you, Mark.
Consistency and planning pay off when executed correctly. Sophia, sitting beside me, whispered softly, Look at you, thriving. He must be losing sleep now. I didn't answer, letting the silence speak. My focus was on business, not personal gloating, though the thought of Ethan struggling did bring a quiet satisfaction. Later, a conference call connected Ethan on the line. He tried to sound casual, professional. Ivy, I've been hearing things about the company, your growth. Maybe we can collaborate, help each other. I remained poised, pen in hand, voice measured. Ethan, I've reviewed your proposal. But at this point, collaboration isn't necessary. My team and I have full control over our direction. He cleared his throat, a hint of desperation slipping in. I thought there was room to rebuild bridges. Surely there's something we can do together. I paused, letting the weight of the words settle. Bridges are for connection, Ethan. I don't need bridges to move forward. I've built roads that lead far beyond the path you imagined. There was a tense silence. I could almost hear him calculating, wondering how I had risen while he faltered. You've changed everything, he muttered. Yes, I said softly, yet firmly. I learned from my mistakes. You ignored opportunities. Now, the consequences are simply unfolding. Mark leaned closer, eyes sparkling. Ivy, investors are ready to expand further. Your vision is unmatched. I glanced at Sophia, who smiled and whispered, You've truly won, professionally and morally. I allowed myself a brief smile. We win by staying strategic, disciplined, and detached when needed. That's how results manifest. Ethan's voice came again, strained. So, you won't even consider helping me? No, I said firmly, final. Your past choices, your arrogance, your neglect, they've created the reality you face. I'm focused on growth, not salvaging what was lost years ago. He exhaled sharply, defeat evident. I understand. The call ended, and I leaned back, letting the tension dissolve. Karma had been subtle, deliberate, quiet but undeniable. The man who once mocked my dreams was now scrambling to maintain relevance while I soared beyond the limits he imposed. Sophia reached over, squeezing my hand. This feels like perfect justice. I nodded, eyes on the horizon. It isn't about revenge. It's about results. Life balances itself when you focus on growth and refuse to be held down. That's karma's quiet revenge, working naturally, without my interference. Mark chuckled, clinking his coffee mug against mine. To Ivy, the boss who turned betrayal into triumph. I smiled, steady, proud, to moving forward, and leaving the past exactly where it belongs. The morning sunlight spilled across my office, warming the papers and screens that mapped the empire I'd built. I walked slowly, deliberately, closing the folders that carried memories of past failures and betrayals. Each snap of the binder echoed like a small victory. Sophia peeked in, smiling. Ivy, today feels different. You seem untouchable. I gave her a calm smile. I am untouchable, not because of power, but because I've finally freed myself from dependence on anyone but me. Just then, a message appeared on my screen. Ethan. I paused, fingers hovering over the keyboard, then deleted it. No reply. No conversation. No lingering attachment. I didn't need validation from the man who once mocked my dreams. A knock at the door made me glance up. Mark stepped in, eyes bright. Ivy, the board wants to congratulate you personally. Your leadership has transformed everything. I nodded, composed. Thank you, Mark. Let's make sure the next quarter continues that trajectory. He chuckled softly. And what about personal life? You're radiant, but distant. Completely in control. I shrugged lightly. The weight of past pain lifted. Control isn't coldness. It's understanding that my life, my choices, and my happiness are my responsibility. That's freedom. The memory of Ethan lingered for a moment, not as pain, but as a reminder of the girl I once was. I thought of the invitations, the laughter, the betrayals. And now, each memory felt like a stepping stone rather than a chain. Ethan appeared at my office door eventually, hesitation in his eyes, pride and regret warring across his expression. Ivy, I made mistakes. Can we talk? I stood, calm, poised. We already talked, in every way that mattered. Your mistakes shaped you, just as they shaped me. But I've moved forward. His shoulders slumped. So, there's nothing? Nothing that concerns you anymore, I said gently, yet firmly. Closure isn't about you, it's about me. And I've found it. He nodded silently, eyes avoiding mine, then walked away. I didn't watch him leave. My focus was on the present, on myself. I returned to my desk, turning on my computer, reviewing my latest projects. Each task completed, every contract signed, every investor impressed. It was a testament to the woman I'd become. Not someone defined by love lost or betrayal endured, but by choices made and strength claimed. Sophia leaned on the doorframe again. Ivy, you really did it. You're your own victory. I looked out the window at the city sprawling beneath me, possibilities endless. Yes, Sophia, I am. And the best part? This is just the beginning. With a deep breath, I closed the last of the old files, leaving them behind. I stepped fully into my office, the sunlight illuminating everything I had earned, everything I had become. Independent, powerful,
Free.
victorious. The future stretched before me, unshaken and entirely mine.